I'm going to start with the ugliest sentence I've ever said out loud. I cheated on my husband. That's what you're here for, right? The confession, the dirty part, the thing people type in the comments. How could she? I would never. She doesn't deserve a second chance. But what if the man I cheated with was my husband? Not the man I sleep next to every night. Not the man who leaves coffee rings on the counter and falls asleep with his phone in his hand. Not the man who answers me with, "Yeah, sure," while scrolling through work emails. I mean another version of him. A version with a different name. A version who listened to me breathe at 3 a.m. and typed, "I'm still here." Go on. Let me explain. Before you decide you hate me. The night everything broke. My father died on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are supposed to be for groceries, meetings, traffic, not hospitals and final breaths. By the time I got home, my husband Daniel had already cleared the coffee table, lit a candle, put a blanket on the couch. He tried to hug me. I let him. But I felt nothing, just numb. Everyone thinks grief is loud, screaming, sobbing on the bathroom floor. Sometimes it's just silence pressing against your eardrums from the inside. The first week, Daniel was perfect. He took calls for me. He cooked without asking what I wanted. He sat next to me while I stared at the TV, not watching anything. But there is a kind of pain you don't want to show to someone who still believes they can fix you. And Daniel, he's a fix-it man. "Maybe you should talk to a therapist," he said one night gently. I flinched. Not because he was wrong, because I didn't want to be a project. So I did what people do when they want to scream but don't know how. I went online. The forum, it was 2:47 a.m. I Googled, "I feel numb after someone dies." Then, "I feel guilty for not crying." Then, "Grief Support Forum Anonymous." That's how I landed in this anonymous space. White background, blue links, little avatar circles with initials. I made a username in 2 seconds, Lost Daughter 28. I was 28 when he died. I didn't realize I had just stamped that number onto the person I used to be. My first post was simple. "My dad died last week. Everyone keeps asking if I'm okay, and I keep saying yes. I'm not. I feel nothing. What's wrong with me?" I almost deleted it. Then the replies started. "Nothing is wrong with you. Shock is normal." It took me months to cry. "Be kind to yourself." Then there was a longer reply from a user named Night Chime. "Numbness is the brain's way of wrapping the wound before you even see the blood. You're not broken. You're protecting yourself." There was something about the way he wrote, gentle, not coddling. I clicked his profile. Joined 3 months ago. Male, lost spouse. I don't know why, but I wrote back. We talked about my father's last day. We talked about his wife's last breath. He answered every message within minutes, like he was just waiting. When I finally looked at the clock, it was 4:12 a.m. "Thank you," I typed. "I'm going to try to sleep." "Keep the lamp on," he replied. Darkness feels heavier right after a goodbye. I closed the laptop and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in a week, my chest hurt, not numb, hurt. It was like grief had been waiting for permission, and a stranger with a soft username had just opened the door. From grief to something else. It didn't turn into cheating in one night. First, it was just grief. How do you handle birthdays now? What do you do with the clothes? Is it normal to get angry at people who are still alive? He told me about the first time he walked into a grocery store alone. How he stood in front of the cereal aisle and realized he didn't know what brand his wife liked, and how that stupid detail broke him. I told him about deleting my dad's number, and then trying to dial it 3 times in the same week, like my fingers hadn't gotten the memo. We wrote paragraphs, then pages. Soon, I wasn't only talking about my father. I started talking about Daniel. I typed, "My husband is kind, patient, but it feels like he's standing on the other side of a glass wall. He keeps tapping on it, asking, 'Are you okay?' And the sound is driving me insane." For the first time, there was a pause in his replies. Then, "Have you told him that?" I stared at the blinking cursor. "No," I wrote. "It feels unfair. He's trying so hard." "Trying isn't the same as hearing," he replied. That sentence lodged itself under my ribs. Somewhere along the way, we left the public thread and moved into private messages. It started with, "How are you today?" Then, "Did you eat?" Then, "What's the one thing you wish someone would say to you right now?" He asked good questions, dangerous questions, the kind Daniel used to ask me when we were just dating. The rules we made to convince ourselves it wasn't cheating. We made rules. No real names, no exact locations, no photos, no taking the conversation off the forum. "We're just online grief friends," I wrote once. "Exactly," he replied. "This is not real life." But pain is real wherever you share it. The screen doesn't make it less true. One night, after a long rant about feeling useless, I typed, "Sometimes I imagine just disappearing, not dying, just walking out of my life and starting over somewhere. Nobody knows me as the girl whose dad died." He answered instantly, "I've imagined the same. After my wife died, I wanted to drive until the gas tank ran dry and pretend I was a different man, but the pain would just ride shotgun." I laughed. At 3:09 a.m. in the dark, with my husband asleep in the next room, I laughed with another man. That should have been my first red flag. When Daniel started to notice, "Who are you talking to at night?" he asked one morning while pouring coffee. I blinked. "What?" "You've been up late, tapping on your laptop. I woke up at 3. You weren't in bed." My heart dropped. "It's a grief forum," I said. "People who understand." He studied me over the rim of his mug. "Do you want to talk to me?" he asked. I hesitated. Too long. His eyes flickered just for a second. "I don't know how to start," I said. He nodded. "Okay. Until you're ready, I'll just be here." He meant it kindly, but what I heard was, "I'll wait out here while you bleed in a room with strangers." That night, I messaged Night Chime. My husband asked who I'm talking to. I told him it's a grief forum. He said he'd wait until I'm ready to talk to him. I feel like a terrible person. There was a longer pause than usual. "You're not terrible," he wrote. "You're grieving. You're allowed to need safe distance." "What if he knew how much I've told you?" I asked. "Then he'd know you're surviving," he said. I should have stopped. Instead, I leaned in. When grief turned into desire. You don't just wake up and say, "I'm going to cheat." It's the choice to send one more message, answer one more question, tell one more truth to someone who isn't your spouse. One night he asked, "What did your husband do that made you fall in love with him back then?" Back then, like my marriage was a country I'd already left, I thought about it. "He used to listen like nothing else in the world mattered," I wrote. "He remembered stupid little details like how I hate the white center of cucumber slices." Pause. "I'll remember that," he wrote. "No cucumber hearts?" I smiled. It felt like a betrayal that my mouth could still do that. Your turn, I typed. What did your wife do that made you fall in love with her? She was fearless with her feelings. He wrote, if she loved something, she loved it loudly. I've never met anyone like that since. The word since hung between us. We still talked about grief, but now we also talked about the emptiness in our beds, the ache of reaching out in the dark and finding no one, or the wrong person. Sometimes, I wrote, I lie next to my husband and feel lonelier than when I'm alone. My finger hovered over backspace. I didn't delete it. He replied, sometimes I talk to you and forget that I'm not the one lying next to you. My heart clenched. I knew a line had been crossed. The retreat. Then the forum announced an in-person grief retreat. 3 days, workshops, group sessions. Connect with people who understand your journey. Just reading the post made my pulse race. Who would be there? Would Night Chime be there? Did you see the retreat announcement? I typed. Yes, he replied. Are you going? Pause. I'm thinking about it. What about you? What was I really asking? Will you be there? Or will you touch me if I am? I'm considering it, I wrote. I could say it's a grief workshop. My husband would understand. You don't have to decide now, he wrote. Just imagine it. Does the idea make you feel lighter or heavier? Lighter. God help me, it made me feel lighter. That night, lying next to Daniel, I whispered, they're doing a grief retreat. The forum people. That sounds good, he said carefully. Will there be therapists? Real support? I think so, I lied. I hadn't checked. If you think it could help, go. I'll cover whatever it costs. My throat burned. Thank you, I said. What I meant was, I don't deserve you. Room 417. The retreat was in a small hotel conference center, 2 hours away. I packed like I was going on a business trip. Simple clothes, notebooks, my father's watch. I did not pack condoms. I told myself that meant I wasn't planning to cheat. In the lobby, grief looked ordinary. Women in cardigans, men with tired eyes, coffee, name tags, a banner saying, "You are not alone." I scanned faces, searching for something I wouldn't recognize anyway. We had never exchanged photos. First group session, no movie-style moment, no stranger calling my username. At lunch, I went back to my room and opened the forum. I'm here. Are you? No reply. Hours passed. Workshops, circles of chairs, breathing exercises. Still no reply. By 10 p.m., my stomach was twisted with disappointment and relief. What were you expecting? I muttered. That some man would appear and fix everything with a hug? I turned on the TV for noise. My phone buzzed. Room 417, if you want to talk. Door will be open. No username, just the message. My heart pounded. Who is this? I typed. Reply came instantly. The one who remembers about cucumber hearts. I sat down. Hard. He was here. He had a room number. My legs moved before my conscience could catch up. The man behind the doorroom 417 was at the end of the hall. With every step, I argued with myself. You are married. You're just going to talk. You're grieving. This is wrong. This is yours. Turn around. Knock. I knocked. Come in, a voice called. Muffled, low, the door was unlocked. I stepped inside, and the world tilted, because sitting on the edge of the bed, in a plain gray t-shirt, phone in his hand like a lifeline, was my husband, Daniel. He looked up. We stared at each other in a silence that felt like an explosion. Dan? Ill? I whispered. His eyes were red-rimmed, like he hadn't slept in days. Hi, he said. I guess, now you know? I looked around, waiting for a camera crew to jump out and yell, "Prank." Nothing, just us. 2 suitcases, 1 bed. "What are you doing here?" I asked. He gave a hollow laugh. "I could ask you the same thing, lost daughter 28. My knees nearly gave out. "How do you know that name?" I asked, even though the answer was crawling up my spine. He turned his phone screen toward me. The forum, our chat. At the top, night chime. "Stop," I whispered. No, this isn't real," he finished softly. "You told yourself it wasn't real." My face burned, shame, anger, betrayal, all at once. You were him? This whole time? You knew?" "I didn't know at first," he said quietly. "There are a lot of daughters with dead fathers. But your words, the stories, the way you described the hospital room, the songs your dad liked, it sounded like you." He swallowed. "I thought I was crazy. Then you mentioned the cucumber thing. I knew it was you." "So you catfished me?" I snapped. "Pretended to be someone else to spy on me?" "I was already on the forum before your dad died," he said. "I joined after my mom. I was using that name. I wasn't pretending at first. I just didn't tell you when I suspected. I wanted to see what you'd say when you weren't trying to protect me." His voice broke on that last word. "So all those nights, when I was pouring my heart out about you, I was still talking to you." Tears blurred my vision. "I cheated on my husband with my husband," I said, half laugh, half sob. "That's insane." He shook his head. "You didn't think it was me," he said. "You thought it was someone else. You let yourself feel things for a man you believe was not your husband. That's the part that hurts. The real betrayal." "This is so messed up," I whispered. "I don't even know what to apologize for first." "Try," he said quietly. I sank into the chair opposite the bed. "I went to someone else with my grief," I said. "I let you be the safe, patient husband in our kitchen, while I gave the raw, ugly version of myself to a stranger online. I told myself I was protecting you." Daniel nodded, jaw tight. "What you were protecting," he said, "was the image of me you didn't want to disappoint. You didn't want me to see how dark it got in your head, but you gave that part to him, to me, just not as your husband." His eyes filled with tears. "And me," he added, "I read everything, every message, every night. I heard how much you were hurting, and I thought, at least she's talking to someone. Then I thought, why can't that someone be me? So I answered, without my name, without our history, just a screen." I buried my face in my hands. "We're insane," I said. "Maybe," he replied. "Or maybe grief just stripped us down to the truth." He leaned forward. "Tell me something," he said. "If it had really been another man in this room, would you have slept with him?" The question cut straight through me. "Yes," I whispered. "I think I would have." One tear slipped down his face. "Thank you for not lying." What we do with the truth. We didn't touch each other that night. No dramatic embrace. No cinematic kiss. We sat like 2 survivors in the wreckage of a car we both helped crash. "I joined the forum because I didn't know how to help you," he said. "Everything I said felt wrong. I thought if I listened to other people's grief, I could learn instructions." I let out a broken laugh. "I joined because I didn't want to weigh you down," I said. "I thought you deserved the I'm doing okay version of me." He looked up sharply. "I don't want the edited version," he said. "I want the one who hates Tuesdays now. The one who wants to throw her phone at the wall at 3 a.m. The one who feels numb and guilty. That's my wife. I choose all of her. even when it hurts. Tears finally came, hot and unstoppable. Then you have to know, I choked, that I did fall for him. For you. For that voice that listened without history. The man on the screen felt easier to love than the one in my kitchen, because he didn't carry our bills and arguments and laundry with him. He nodded slowly. And sometimes, he admitted, it was easier to be him, to be this distilled version of myself. When I typed, I had time to think, to respond like the man I want to be. In real life, I panic. I say the wrong thing. I retreat. We sat there, our ugliest truths laid out between us. Where does that leave us? I asked. He took a breath. Here, he said. In a hotel room we both came to, thinking about betraying each other and finding out we've been bleeding in the same wound the whole time. The choice. We didn't fix everything in one weekend. We didn't leave the retreat magically healed. But we made choices. We deleted the forum accounts, not as punishment, as a funeral for the versions of ourselves that needed anonymity, to be honest. We promised one terrifying thing. If we're awake at 3 a.m., we talk to each other first, even if the words are messy, even if they come out wrong, even if what we say is, I don't want to be here right now. We started therapy, together and separately. We started asking each other the questions we used to save for strangers. Are you numb or hurting today? Do you want advice or just company? What's the one thing you're afraid to say out loud right now? It's not a pretty, linear arc. Some days I still want to disappear. Some days he still wants to fix me instead of hold me. But now, when I look at him across the kitchen table, I don't just see my husband. I see him. The man who sat in the dark, night after night, holding his phone, answering my pain like it was the most important thing in the world. The man I thought was safer than my own marriage. And here's the final, uncomfortable truth. I did cheat, not with his body, but with his shadow. I took the most vulnerable parts of myself and gave them to an image of him I could close with a click, instead of to the real man who could actually be hurt. So yes, this is a cheating story. But the person I betrayed the most was the version of myself who believed love and honesty couldn't exist in the same sentence. Now, at 3 a.m., when the darkness feels heavy, I roll over, press my face into his chest, and whisper the things I used to type to a stranger. And for the first time since my father died, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, being fully seen doesn't have to be the scariest thing in the world. Sometimes, the most dangerous affair is the one you have with the safer version of the person you already promised your life to. And this time, I am choosing the real man, not the username,